Good afternoon, teachers. Today we're going to talk about discourse analysis and vocabulary, more specifically, lexical cohesion in the Chilean ELT context. My name is Catalina Galquin.
My name is Florencia Olivares.
And my name is Valentina Varas.
We're going to start with a brief introduction. Lexical cohesion is the way vocabulary links ideas together in a text, helping readers and listeners follow the topic easily. This is through repetition, synonyms, related words, and collocations. Thanks to this, texts become more coherent and less repetitive. In ELT teaching, lexical cohesion helps students produce more natural and meaningful communication in both speaking and writing. So, to start, what is lexical cohesion? This this concept is the way vocabulary creates a web of meaning in a text. So, for example, instead of just looking at grammar, we look at lexical items relate to each other. Mhm. The main types are repetition, that is using the exact same word. For example, if I say the teacher entered the room, the teacher sat down, the repetition here will be the noun the teacher, right? Also, synonym, which is using a word with similar meaning. For example, if I say I love dogs, and if in another sentence I say these canines are so loyal, the synonym here is dogs and canines, canines referring to dogs. Mhm. Also, antonymy, sorry, which is using opposites to maintain a theme. For example, if I say in a sentence, the sun was hot, but the shade was cool. Hyponymy, it's general to specific. For example, if I say I brought some fruit, the apples were delicious. That is general to more specific item. And last but not least, collocations. That is word that naturally hang out together, creating a thematic link. For example, classroom, students, homework, blackboard, exam, all refer to a specific context. And in the Chilean context, integrating discourse analysis is essential in Chilean ALT context to help students move beyond simple sentences and repetitive structures, meeting the communicative objectives of the national curriculum.
Now moving on to the theoretical framework. First, Michael McCarty says in Discourse Analysis for Language Teachers, he argues that lexical cohesion is essential for topic development. He emphasizes that vocabulary can be thought in isolation. Students need to see how a text is glued together by these lexical chains. Now, Sales, Morsia, and Olstein says that they highlight the discourse is contextualized language. For lexical cohesion, this means teaching students that the choice of words depends on the gender. For example, a formal news article uses different lexical chains than a casual conversation between friends. So here is an example of a lexical chains. So when we speak or write, we use chains of words to keep the topic clear. For example, if I'm writing about a dog, I don't just say dog every time. I say dog, that is the main word, or puppy as a synonym, or the pet as a category, or bark, tail, fur, that those are collocations. So these words are linked. This link is what we call a lexical cohesion. It stops the text from sounding repetitive and confusing.
As English teachers, we often obsess over grammar, perfecting verb tenses, for example. But let's be honest, a student can have a perfect grammar, but if they use wrong or disconnected vocabulary, their English just won't sound natural. So, this is where lexical cohesion comes in. Why does it matter in ELT? So, teaching this is the key to helping our students level up. So it's the difference between saying I like cats, cats are cute, I have cats, and saying I love my pet, This little kitten is so cute and cuddly. We also need to teach register. Formal and casual lexical patterns differ significantly. So, an academic text requires, for example, precise formal lexical chains, whereas a casual conversation among friends here in Chile remains and require more colloquial chains to sound truly authentic. Here we have some practical ideas for the classroom. So, how do we bring this to life? Here are two activities we love. The first one is the word web for primary school, as we can see in the picture, and the second is the synonym swap for secondary school, that it's a little bit more advanced. And now I am going to define them. So the first one is the word web for primary school. The goal is to show how words are related. Write a main word on the board, like school, for example, and ask students to shout out words that belong to that family. To make this realistic for our students in Chile, we like to include local vocabulary like patio, casino, or inspectoría, and the lesson is simple. When we tell a story about a school, we need these specific words so our friends know exactly what we are talking about. The second one is the synonym swap for secondary school. So here, as we can see, we turn students into detectives. We give them a boring text filled with repetitive words like I went to the park and the park was big and I saw a dog at the park. And their job is to find those repeated words and replace them with synonyms to make the paragraph sound much better, right? Like changing, for example, park to playground or big to huge. And a pro tip is use a text centered on a current Chilean social issue, and it forces them to find synonyms that are contextually appropriate for reality. Here we have our integration and conclusion. Moving toward discourse analysis changes the game in the classroom. Instead of just memorizing grammar rules, as we often do with our students learn how to actually communicate when they master things like lexical chains, and it finally clicks. They gain the confidence to express complex ideas clearly, whether they are writing or just chatting in group or talking with their friends. Here we have our references, as you can see. And thank you so much for watching, and I hope these ideas help us to transform our next lessons.